Before colonial maps, before modern borders, there was a woman in West Africa whose name traveled further than armies. Some called her queen, others called her conqueror. But in the markets of the Hausaland, they whispered something else. Amina is coming. To understand Amina, you have to understand her world. She lived in the 16th century in a region known as Hausaland, a network of powerful city-states tied together by trade, politics, and rivalry. Her kingdom, Zazzau, modern-day Zaria, sat on one of the most important trade routes in West Africa. Salt from the Sahara, gold from the forest, slaves, leaders, kola nuts. Control the routes and you controlled wealth. And Amina understood that early. Amina was born into power, the daughter of Queen Bakwa Turunku. But what made her different wasn't just her bloodline, it was her obsession. While others learned court politics, Amina studied military structure, while others prepared for marriage. She trained with elite cavalry units, the backbone of Hausa warfare. Horses were expensive. War training was exclusive. This was not normal for a woman. But Amina wasn't being prepared for tradition. She was being prepared for command. When her brother Karama became king, Amina didn't disappear into the background. She became Magajiya, a title that gave her political and military authority. And this is where history gets interesting because Amina didn't wait to inherit power. She built it. She led military campaigns under her brother's rule, gained loyalty directly from soldiers, not just nobles. These distinctions matters because when soldiers follow you, you just don't rule, you command. After Karama's death, Amina ascended the throne, but this wasn't a peaceful transition. Zaza wasn't the only power in Hausaland. Other city-states, Kano, Katsina, Gobir, were constantly watching, competing, waiting. A female ruler? To many, that looked like weakness. To Amina, it looked like an opportunity. Amina's expansion wasn't random violence, it was calculated. She targeted trade corridors. Instead of just conquering cities, she secured routes linking Zauzau to distant regions. This meant more wealth flowed into her kingdom, more political influence, more dependence on her protection. And here is where one of her most famous legacies come in. The walls of Amina. Wherever she conquered, she ordered the construction of defensive walls. Ganuwa Amina. These weren't symbolic, they were strategic. They secured territories, prevented rebellions, created permanent markers of her control. Some of these earthworks reportedly stretched for miles. This wasn't just conquest, this was nation building. Now, here is where history and legend begin to blur. Some oral tradition claims that after conquering a territory, Amina would take a lover and have him killed the next morning. Is it true? We don't know. But the existence of the story tells us something important. People didn't just see her as powerful, they saw her as dangerous beyond control. And in a male dominated society, powerful women are often written as extreme or even monstrous. So the question becomes, was this truth or was it fear turned into story? What truly made Amina great was not just war, it was economic dominance. By expanding Zauzau's reach, she connected it more deeply to trans Sahara trade. Her campaigns helped increase tribute system, expand slave routes, a harsh but real part of the era, strengthen Zauzau's position as a commercial hub. She didn't just win battles, she made Zauzau matter. Like many figures of her time, the exact details of her death are unclear. Some accounts say she died during a military campaign, others suggested natural causes after years of rules. But what is clear is this: she ruled for decades. She expanded further than any ruler before her in that region. And long after her death, her name remained. When colonial historians later wrote African history, figures like Amina was often minimized or ignored, not because they weren't important, but because they didn't fit the narrative. A powerful African woman who led armies, built infrastructure, and controlled trade. That story challenged too much. So it faded, not completely, because in northern Nigeria today, her name still lives in stories, in walls, in memory. Queen Amina didn't just break expectations, she exposed them. She proved that power was never about gender, it was about strategy, vision, and force of will. And whether history wrote her in ink or tried to erase her in silence, she built something stronger than both, a legacy that refused to disappear.